Thank you, and this is our third time presenting here at the Metals Investors Forum. We really enjoy coming here and the format, and a tremendous big thanks to John himself. He was the first to cover Mineral Mountain Resources and see what a lot of other people couldn't see. And I'll talk a bit about the difficulties for the average investors to see how large and how big the potential in this area is and why it has not been explored properly, and what we're doing to vector in onto what potentially could be one of the most significant new discoveries in the United States or North America in quite some time. So here's our location. I'll try and breeze through this pretty quick, but the Homestake mine was the most successful mine on the Dow. It produced for 127 years, shut down in 2001 after having produced over 41 million ounces of gold. It was reported by Roscoe Postal that there was still another 11 million ounces down below, but due to gold prices around that time, $300 an ounce, and the depths that they were mining at, it became not feasible to go forward. That deposit is now being used by NASA to try and identify neutrinos. Some people call it the missing mass of the universe. Now, that trend that goes through there is akin to the Carlin trend or up in Timmins, but it has not had nearly the same level of exploration whatsoever. It would be very unique if that was just a one-off deposit in that area. It's our firm belief, and there's a lot of supporting documentation that shows us that this Rochford district, about 20 miles to the south of Homestake, is the same iron formation style that exists at Homestake. And we think we've got an elephant by the tail here. So it's going to take some work. Here we go is just a picture of the underground at Homestake, 125 years of operation. The grade, it comprised of 11 different deposits. They called them ledges. Each one of these deposits averaged very close to 8 grams per ton, very consistent. There are higher grade sections and lower grade sections within these deposits, but there's a very clear path on how to identify where these targets exist, and that's what we're doing right now. Here is the model. We're looking for what's called a centroid. John calls it a canoe, the keel of the canoe. As you can see at your top left there where it says upper tail, Homestake had minor little small deposits, a little blotchy, but 95% of the gold comes within that range that's called the centroid there. That's what we're currently looking for. You can't blindly sit there, take a drill rig, and just throw a dart at a dartboard. You've got to systematically explore because of the complex nature of the geology that's there. So what we first did, we were the first people ever to fly this part of the belt, or actually any of the belts for that matter, and did very high detailed res airborne survey. What we did is had it reinterpreted into 3D so that people can visualize the size of the prize, if you will. The standby mine target that you see there is 1,000 feet wide, 3,500 feet long, and 4,500 feet deep. Now, the depth is only limited to the geophysical tools that were used there. That's about 1.5 kilometers down, but it quite easily could be very similar, like Homestake, go down 2-3 kilometers in depth. Now, the airborne did pull out new northern targets that were never known before, has the same size, volume, and mass as the standby mine, and that coincidentally is the same volume and mass that produced the number 9 ledge at Homestake. That was 9.6 million ounces alone. We've got 4 of those targets on our property right now. Now, so that people can visualize a little better, I've got 3 slides here, but really at our booth, we have just created this week a 3D spinning model visualization of where we drilled, what we think it looks like, and where our next planned drill holes are going to be. But what you can see down at the bottom, that solid black line will be our next hole, the 4th hole. We feel now, after the first 3 drill holes that we had reported, that there's a definite correlation with the arsenopyrite and the gold content. Knowing that, we also know that we should have probably been drilling a little deeper, but that's why you need the known to go forward. And those first 3 drill holes gave us tremendous information. They also showed a direct link or correlation with the big shear zone that's in there. You need that shear zone to be associated with F2 faults on a syncline. I'll let the geologists explain that a lot better, but we've also found and will be doing downhole EM surveys on the next couple holes that will light up a graphitic horizon, which is the contact of the shear zone. Once we get that information, it will draw bullseye targets for us. It is complex. The shear is not just a nice straight down where you can map it. This is a tool that will show us exactly where the subsequent drill holes should be targeting. Here is just a bit of a long section from where we drilled. Our 3 holes at the start were within the top 300 meters of this trend. There is still another minimum 1.5 kilometers of untested iron formation, as well as even at depth within the same plane of where we were drilling. Once again, you can see this at our booth in 3 dimensions. It's a lot easier to visualize. This story is hard to put out a press release, so to speak, and describe the nature of it because it's all in 3 dimension. It's not like a standard deposit that goes from A to B and down to C. So we invite you to come and see that. Now, this is a long section that now I guess it's in 2D, so we're getting a little bit closer, but I want you to pay very close attention to the red line there on your left-hand side going down. Now, I'm going to compare this in just 1 second here. That's the Homestake number 9 ledge. At the top left, the black stuff is the ore that was mined. And you can see just minor splattering. That's the same area that we were drilling and starting. We were going from a known where there was past mining, and now we're working our way down plunge and at depth. 95%, as I said before, of the ore is in that centroid where there's a flattening, and we have quite a bit of confidence that we will be targeting that in our next 9 drill holes. That drill program will commence in less than a week. We just put out a news announcement to that effect 2 days ago. Now, the comparisons to Homestake, I can go through all the geology and whatnot. It is the same DNA. The minerals, when we were at the PDAC, we created quite a buzz this year with ex-Homestake executives or their top geological staff. They kept running back to the booth with another person, and you got to see this, you got to see it. They said what we drilled was a dead ringer for that Ledge 9 style mineralization that they had on their property, and that was tremendous for us, but I guess the market expected that within the first 3 drill holes. Our drill holes matched or exceeded what Homestake first discovered when they found that 9 ledge deposit. So we are very well on track. It was only 3 holes. We were trading, I believe, mid 50, 60 cents. We were 1 day away from forced exercise of warrants that would have brought us $4.5 million. However, we did raise additional funds, so we're close to about the $2 million mark, more than enough to complete the next 9 holes of our drill program that will be ongoing. Now, when I was here last fall, we were doing a 20-cent financing with a 35-cent warrant. We currently trade at 35 cents, but we did have a high in excess of 75 cents, I believe, since we presented last fall. We traded over 12 million shares in the last, I believe, 3 weeks since we put out those drill results. So there was a lot of cheap free trading stock that had just come out to the market, and we had a tremendous amount of new buyers come into the market, and we think the shares are placed in tremendous hands. Also, management's been buying shares in the open market since the news release, as well as with friends, family, close associates. We probably have about 32–33% of the shares. Thank you very much for having us, and I look forward to the questions after this presentation.